back with more Avatar: The Last Airbender. This is episode 7 of season 1. Very excited to carry on, see what's going to happen next. Last episode was really great, focused a lot on Katara and her trying to free a lot of earthbenders from George Takei, as it turns out. I knew I recognised the voice, it was bugging me for the entire episode, of the warden guy who was voicing him, and then it clicked 2 minutes after I finished recording. I was like, of course, it's George Takei. So that was fun. I like maybe not recognising it straight away, but having familiar faces, familiar voices in this regard, I suppose, popping up on the show. So that was a lot of fun. And yeah, really loving the show so far. Excited to see where things are going to go next as the journey continues on. I liked how the last episode kind of ended off with Katara, kind of saying, oh, well, this is what my mission is, we're still on this journey with Aang. So that's still very much kind of where things are headed. She also misplaced the necklace that her mother gave her. And we saw Zuko kind of pick that up. So he's on their trail still. Lots going on. Very excited for more. So let's get into the next one.
Those clouds look so soft, don't they? Like you could just jump down and you'd land in a big, soft, cottony heap.
Maybe you should give it a try.
You're hilarious.
Oh.
I'll try it.
Well, you probably can.
Fire Nation! Those evil savages make me sick. They have no respect for... What?
All these burnt trees in the Fire Nation, huh? Who could have guessed?
It has nothing to do with you. Yes, it does. It's the Avatar's job to protect nature. But I don't know how to do my job. That's why we're going to the North.
Can't be everywhere at once, buddy.
To a teacher.
Uncle Iroh!
Over here.
Uncle?
This guy does not give a shit. I love it.
On the Avatar's trail. Get out of the water!
No, don't get out of the water. Jesus.
Why don't you take another few minutes?
Every one of these will be a tall oak tree someday. And all the birds and animals that lived here will come back.
Oh.
Thanks, Katara.
Hey!
My village desperately needs your help.
Uh-oh. Okay, so it started off destroyed, so it's not going to be entirely their fault if things go wrong.
For the last few days at sunset, a spirit monster comes and attacks our village. He is Heibai, the black and white spirit.
Why is it attacking you?
We do not know, but each of the last 3 nights, he has abducted one of our own. We are especially fearful because the winter solstice draws near.
The natural world and the spirit world will grow closer and closer until the line between them is blurred completely.
Heibai is already causing devastation and destruction. Once the solstice is here,
He'd be at
there's
full
no telling
power.
what will happen.
Aang, you seem a little unsure about all this. Yeah?
What gave it away?
Because I don't know anything at all about the spirit world. I think you can do it, Aang.
Yeah. We're all gonna get eaten by a spirit.
I mean, you've got to balance out the points of view, I suppose.
Seems I've dozed off and missed my nephew's deadline, but it was a very sweet nap.
There's not much I wouldn't do for a nap, to be fair. Uh-oh.
This is the Fire Lord's brother, the Dragon of the West.
Oh no.
Once great General Iroh, but now he's our prisoner.
Still worth it for the nap, though. I feel like they've captured the only nice one.
I'm here to try to help stuff.
This isn't right.
He has to learn by doing.
Sit here and cower while Aang waits for some monster to show up.
I hereby ask you to please leave this village in peace. Okay.
Maybe it worked.
I guess that's settled then.
Didn't work, did it? Oh, wow. Pretty sure that's a Pokemon. Oh my. Oh.
I command you to turn around now!
Oh! Well, it turned around.
That's it. He needs help. We'll fight him together, Aang.
I don't want to fight him unless
Oh no!
My uncle's been captured by earthbenders.
Everyone's being kidnapped in this episode. Oh. They gone to the spirit place? 'Cause that's unfortunate.
I failed.
You tried your best. Although if Sokka's dead, I will be very disappointed.
Where are you taking me? We're taking
Buy him some clothes, please.
Right. The great city of Ba Sing Se. It was greater than you were, apparently. I acknowledge my defeat at Ba Sing Se. And I'm still tired.
This guy's a mood. Oh. Is he just like expert at napping, or is he faking that? Leaving a trail. Smart. Although you're going to quickly run out of feet.
I know.
I would be shocked if the Avatar returned without him.
Oh, that's some bad timing, isn't it?
I lost him.
Perhaps he will
Oh.
return soon.
What?
Yeah, you can't see him. He's all blue. You're in the spirit place as well.
I'm the bridge between the worlds, right? All I have to do is figure out what I have to do.
It would be cool if you could always switch between the both worlds.
That's definitely not Sokka.
I'll be surprised if it is. Oh, can you not use his powers?
I can't airbend in the spirit world.
Oh, this place is rubbish. Oh, hello. Ah, dragon. Fun.
You don't know where Sokka is, do you?
Oh,
Avatar Roku's
yeah.
animal guide. Like Appa is to me. I need to save my friends and I don't know
Oh,
how.
imagine having a
Is there
bloody
someone
dragon
to
as a
talk to?
guide. Amazing. So just imagine like all the stuff that's actually going on around you that you just can't see. You can see it.
What's the problem?
Oh, wow.
Is that what Roku wants to talk to me about? A comet? When can I talk to him? And the light will reach Roku on the solstice. So that's when I'll be able to speak to Roku?
Here you are, running down Earth, aren't you?
Dangerous, Captain.
Nope.
The Avatar.
Yeah, it's not very subtle, is it, really? Oh, but you're going to follow your uncle. Oh, it's your body. It's like an astral projection kind of thing.
These dangerous hands must be crushed.
Oh. What about his feet? Well, that's nice.
Excellent form, Prince Zuko. You taught me well. Surrender yourselves.
I like that he chose family over the Avatar.
Clearly outnumbered.
Kind of good of them to make me root for the Fire Nation people, isn't it? That says a lot.
Now, would you please put on some clothes?
Yeah, I've been asking that for 20 minutes. Now you listen here. Ah.
This forest. Now I understand.
It's a statue, the
You're
bear.
upset and angry because your home was burned down. When I saw the forest that burned, I was sad and upset.
Nice. Hurrah!
Sokka!
If only there were a way to repay you for what you've done.
You could give us some supplies and some money.
Sokka? You figured out what to do all on your own. Actually, I did have a little help. And there's something else.
Yeah, that's still an issue.
What is it?
And if I go there on the solstice, I'll be able to speak with him. But the solstice is tomorrow. Yeah, and there's one more problem. The island is in the Fire Nation.
Nothing's ever easy, is it? Okay, another really great episode. When I saw at the start it was like Winter Solstice Part 1 or something, I was like, oh no, we're going to get a to be continued super awful cliffhanger, and I'm going to be like tearing my hair out wanting to know what happens next. But actually, it wasn't too bad. Obviously, the story's not fully told yet, really, with Roku and having to travel to the Fire Nation to actually be able to talk to Spirit and everything. So there is like more to that, and this big comet thing that could crash and wipe out the dinosaurs. Maybe that'd be a plot twist. Although I feel like, you know, this is a very different world to that, because they have like all these creatures and stuff roaming around that they can ride on. Maybe it'll wipe all them out. Who can say? Something tells me that's not going to be what this is going for, though. But yeah, I really enjoyed the focus on Aang, putting him centre stage, him really coming to face the fact that he was frozen for 100 years, so he hasn't had all this time to really train and kind of learn his own way of being the Avatar. He's only just starting that process now, and he should have had so much more time leading up to this. It made a lot of problems that he has to face, you know, a bit smoother sailing. But I really like him being challenged in that way, because, you know, he is still very carefree and childlike a lot of the time, and he wants to be, you know, very energetic and always eager to have fun with things, not take things too seriously. Probably because deep down he knows that, you know, that can't last forever. And then you get an instance like this where people are being taken, and then Sokka got taken as well. And it really kind of hit him like, I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing here. Like, I'm out of my depth. I really don't know what it is to be the Avatar. No one is around to teach them anymore. Which is also a really cool idea. The fact that it's been so long since there's even been an Avatar around at all. More like just a new one's just starting because the last one's passed away or something. Like, there just hasn't been one for so long. It's a really interesting kind of challenge for him and for the world to kind of negotiate having an Avatar back. So I like having, you know, all that kind of responsibility on his shoulders and him trying to work out how to deal with that. And kind of find his own way of being the Avatar. Obviously, guidance is going to help, and if he can manage to speak to like Roku's spirit and everything, I'm sure that will be hugely beneficial to him in terms of just like the knowledge and the wisdom I think he'll need to be an Avatar. The skill, you know, he's kind of on that journey already, because obviously heading to like water temples and stuff to train him up in that regard, and all the other elements he hasn't mastered yet. So he's always been aware, I think, of the physical challenges that are going to await him if he needs to become the Avatar properly. But he is at the disadvantage of not just having loads of people around him who can say what the Avatar was like, or what they do, or how to do it, because he hasn't had the opportunity to speak to any previous ones. So yeah, I really like them facing that in this one. He had to deal with this spirit, you know, demony, black and white demon thing. Which was just a panda. Should have guessed, really. The fact that it was like black and white. It was actually really a panda, linking back to the statue that got burnt out. I liked that, and the fact that the forest has a spirit that was angered because it got burnt. And then I don't know exactly why it was taking people. I'm not sure they explained that. But I guess it's just angry. It just stole people away because, you know, things were stolen from it. It lost all its forest. I don't know, maybe. But either way, I liked Aang kind of trying to figure that out and ultimately coming to those big conclusions by himself, because he like saw the carving of the bear or panda ultimately, working that out for himself. And Katara also praising him for that at the end was really nice, and that's going to be good for him, I think, because that's that spark, like, oh, I can do this. I do have the capabilities of working things out. We've already seen that he's quite capable like that anyway. He worked out that it was Boomy a few episodes back, you know, so he does have the intellect needed, I think, to properly become, you know, the best Avatar he can be, living his best life, but he's still got a long way to go, obviously. But I like that they showcase in this one not just like his kind of physical prowess, in terms of his abilities and stuff. Because we've seen him do some cool badass airbending and stuff in the past. All those challenges that Boomy was setting for him and everything. But in this one, when he was in the spirit world, he couldn't use that powers, and he still kind of saved the day and worked it out, because he was using like the brain power, the brain side of things. So there are hints there that he is a well-rounded avatar, and ultimately will be once he does everything he needs to. So I liked the focus on him, the kind of guilt he was feeling, like things are still kind of going wrong for places and he can't be it for at once. He can't ultimately prevent some destruction and stuff because he's just not at that level yet. And it's tough because he shouldn't hold that against himself, because I don't think he necessarily asked to be frozen in ice for over 100 years, but that was the hand that was dealt him. And I think that's awful to kind of wake up like, oh, it's been 100 years, you know, everyone you know has kind of gotten old or they're dead, all your people have been wiped out. Good luck with that, bye. You know, the fact that he's been able to mentally deal with that anyway is kind of astounding. So to see him kind of push through on that journey and actually make really positive steps, I think is, you know, it speaks a lot to his character, really. And that he's mature beyond his years, because physically he kind of is, but mentally he has the potential to be as well, which I really like. So yeah, I enjoyed Aang's kind of journey on this episode. Obviously Katara and Sokka didn't have as much to do, but I liked Katara and her loyalty, waiting for Sokka and Aang to come back at the gate as well. Her absolute faith in Aang that, you know, he'd be able to work this out on his own, trying to kind of build him up and praise him as best as she can. But, you know, alongside that, we also have Sokka who balances that out a bit. Like, we're going to get eaten by this demon thing. If they were just kept praising Aang, saying, oh, you got this, there's nothing you can't do, I think that could, you know, ultimately lead to Aang's downfall if that kept being the case. Because he might get a bit too overconfident, and then that would, you know, we've seen like the guy that Zuko had a fight with a few episodes back, the Fire Nation guy, you know, his overcockiness cost him in the end, to an extent. The guy in the last episode as well, the Warden. So they've already shown that, you know, cockiness, overconfidence is going to be a downfall. So the fact that we have Katara, who's very level-headed about when to praise him, when to scold him and stuff, and Sokka, who can always be relied upon to keep things balanced and not let Aang get too big for his boots. It's a really nice combination. And I think that's why the dynamic of those three just works so well. So I liked everything with that. But alongside that, Sokka very much wanted to join the fight with Aang, and that's obviously what got him kidnapped in the first place. The fact that he joined the fight because he cares about Aang, clearly. So that's a big development from episode 1 and 2, when he really was against him. So I liked them showcasing that. I think Sokka likes to get involved in a fight, and he likes to feel like he's protecting people as best he can, because he's used to that with his village. It's kind of his main responsibility for all his life. So he's not going to turn down any opportunity like that. And yeah, in his gut, I think he knows what's right. He knows when to risk his life, and he felt like he could risk it for Aang in this episode, which was very, very wholesome, given, you know, how things were and how he felt about Aang, like, literally like, what, 5 episodes ago? So already we're getting a lot of really nice development with them. And yeah, I'm interested to see a bit more of Roku and what his spirit may have to say about this comet and stuff. So there's still a lingering threat there that carries on. And yeah, I think the Haybee, I think was what the name of that spirit-y thing was called. So I like the mystery surrounding that. I thought the design of it was very cool as well. Just enough to kind of hint that it was actually like a panda, but also very kind of out there and interesting to kind of showcase. So I liked everything with them. And the idea of acknowledging defeat and knowing your limitations that this episode kind of had. We saw Iroh, I think his name was. They've mentioned his name before, but I've always just called him like Cool Uncle, which is ironic considering he's Fire Nation and they called him Cool, but you know what I mean. But yeah, they were talking about a defeat when his army like were waiting somewhere for like 600 days or something like that, and they gave up because they were tired and everything. And he was like, oh yeah, I own that defeat. I acknowledge that we lost there. And alongside that we have Aang being like, oh, I'm not sure if I can do this, and acknowledging that he isn't, you know, the all-powerful avatar yet. He's still very much in the early stages of that journey. So I like the fact that we had this kind of theme of acknowledging your limitations, acknowledging when you've lost, accepting your failures and learning from them. Iroh certainly clearly learned from that, and his resilience to like escape and do stuff in this episode kind of probably was a learned experience from those past defeats. He's probably learned not to give up. And Aang's also learned his capabilities as well, and more often than not he will want to show off his powers and stuff, like the opening scene with the clouds. He's like, I can do this, bye, and he just jumps out because he can. So he hasn't always relied so much on the intellectual side of him, and you know, using his noggin, but this episode kind of forced him to do that. So I like that balance, and facing his limitations, because if he wants to become, you know, the ultimate avatar and master everything, he needs to accept his limitations and accept his failures and learn from them. So the fact that he's already starting that journey is probably good as a showcase of the avatar he could ultimately become. So I liked everything with him, and Iroh just living his best life. I don't feel like he's necessarily that bad of a person, which is an interesting thing. I'm glad they didn't have like every single Fire Nation person in the show just be an evil asshole. I like that Iroh actually seems kind of sweet and wholesome at times. You know, he's come to Zuko's defense at times, and he's clearly like quite a proud uncle. I think he cares deeply for him, but he also has a lot of self-care and looks after himself. Like, oh, I'm just going to have a nap here and doze off for a bit. He knows what he wants and he'll stick to that, but also when shit gets real, he will kind of, in his own way, deal with it. And I think he's aware people may underestimate him, and I think he may purposely present himself as a bit like, oh, look at me, I'm just not a care in the world, I can just do my own thing, I'm very chill and zen about everything. Because if you let them underestimate you, then you can use that to your advantage. And he did that on multiple occasions, like when he made his chain things quite warm to try and escape. And ultimately, while that didn't pan out, then Zuko kind of came to his rescue. And the only reason I think Zuko would have gone after his uncle and not go after the Avatar, because he saw Appa flying around, is because Zuko actually has care for his uncle, because he's probably the only person who has shown him care in return during his life, at least in the past few years since he got exiled. So there's that deep familial bond between the two of them. And if that wasn't there, you know, I think Zuko would have been like, oh, screw you, uncle, you can get killed for it, okay, I'm going to go and find the Avatar, bye. But because Iroh's treated his nephew with kindness and everything and respect, that led to Zuko kind of helping him and save him. So ultimately, Iroh still saved himself through the way he's treated his family and Zuko. So I really enjoyed that. And just the fact that I could root for Zuko and Iroh to win that fight, even though they're Fire Nation, and they're also kind of presented as the villains of the show at times. It's a really interesting balance of the characters, and the fact that you are able to root for them, even though they've also been presented as villain roles in the past, and are still kind of the main villains of this season, really, so far. It speaks a lot to the writing, I think, and the characters showcased so far. So I really enjoyed that journey with them as well, and I'm intrigued to see what their next move is going to be. Hopefully to a bloody clothes shop to get Iroh something to wear. But yeah, I liked their storyline going alongside that as well. Just kind of humanising the villains to help them, you know, if you like the villains and you understand them and understand how they tick, I think that does make the conflict more engaging. Because you know what Aang and Katara and Sokka are all trying to do is probably the right thing to do, because you want peace among all the nations and stuff. But you can clearly see Zuko is quite literally scarred from his past as well, but there are cracks there, I think, in him that have yet to be explored, so I'm kind of interested in seeing where that goes as well. Really, really rich characters, and the fact that we're only 7 episodes in and they've got a lot to pick apart about them, I think is quite exceptional. Especially when the episode is 20 minutes long, you feel like you can't really do a lot, but they really, really do. They really pack it in there. When the episodes are 20 minutes, I suppose you can't really waste any time with them, so that's why it's so kind of intense and character driven stuff, because they don't have any more episode length to kind of, you know, mess around and go on too many tangents. So I enjoy that. And yeah, another really solid episode. Looking forward to seeing where they're going to take this whole thing with Roku's spirit and the comet, what's going on with that. But yeah, really, really fun episode. Looking forward to more. And until my next reaction, thanks for watching.